Hey there. Welcome to another episode of Career Retrospectives, right here on the Super Review Show. I'm joined by my two incredible friends, Kyle and Mike. What's going on, guys?
Hey, doing all right.
Hello. What's going on, Mr. JT?
Another day, another dollar here. So we're gonna get right into it, shall we? For those of you who are wondering what we're talking about tonight, the title of this podcast is we're talking about Fall Out Boy's most recent album. We're joined by Fall Out Boy's most recent album. Sorry about that technical difficulties. But the Fall Out Boy's most recent release, So Much for Stardust. I'm gonna let Kyle share his thoughts first on this because I'm curious. I mean, we all have our own opinions. We all listen to the album, but let's see what Kyle has to say first about the latest Fall Out Boy release. So Much for Stardust.
So this one was, I'm glad that we waited to review this one and we didn't do it a couple days after it came out, because not to say I did a full 180 on this, but I like it now a hell of a lot more than I did in the first couple days when it came out and I first heard it. I think that there was not so much false advertising, but that lead single really set it up to be something that it wasn't. Not to say that it wasn't a huge return to form for them, because it kind of was, but at the same time it branched out to like different new territories. But when I heard Love from the Other Side first, I was like, oh damn, this is going to pick up right where they should have come back before the hiatus ended, before Save Rock and Roll and then their other pop adventures. So I was looking forward to that, and I think that the rest of the album is not like that for the most part. And I think that put that expectation in my mind that had me so let down at first. Like, it had me like, this is not what I expected. And in all fairness, they did say not to expect that. They did come out and say, like, it has all different sounds. It's something new. We branch into new territories. Don't expect full classic Fall Out Boy, which I get, I respect. But yeah, super glad. I'll get into specifics later, but super glad we waited to review this one, because I like it a lot more now than I did then. By no means is it perfect, but it's a great album. Does it stand up to the rest of the records? I guess we'll find out. But great return to form in a way.
Yeah, I'm gonna go next if that's okay. I just want to shed some light on this. My love of Fall Out Boy kind of got into I fell into them by accident almost, like, because when I first really got into them into 2019 2020, because of the announcement of the Hella Mega Tour with Weezer, Fall Out Boy, and Green Day. I knew about Fall Out Boy, I knew Weezer, I knew Green Day, but I didn't really know Fall Out Boy that much. I mean, prepping for that tour, obviously it was postponed because of COVID till the next year and whatnot, but that was my first real exposure to them as a band. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see them on that portion of the tour, because my show and the two shows after, they had to drop out because someone got COVID, unfortunately, in the band or whatever. But they are touring with, I know, but Kyle saw them, you lucky duck.
I'm gonna be honest, you didn't miss too much on the Hella Mega Tour.
Okay. But I have not seen them live at all, and I would love to see them live to see some of the material on this album live, and also their other stuff too, like Sugar We're Going Down and whatnot, and My Songs Know What You Did in the Dark and whatnot. But I mean, so going to this, I was like, all right, cool. Mania, we talked about that actually on our show. Go back and listen to that. Go back and watch that. We did do a whole hour-long breakdown of that album, Mania. And we were saying, I think it was last year we said that, right? We're like, all right, we're not sure if Fall Out Boy's got anything coming up or not, but this was their most recent release and how terrible it was. I mean, there's a couple good songs, but nothing really super special. Maybe Heaven's Gate, but that's about it. And this was a real return to form, in my opinion. I do agree with Kyle on that. I feel like this does help them pick them up right where they left off after their hiatus in 2009. Is that right?
Around there somewhere, yeah.
2009, 10, yeah. Because for those who don't know, Fall Out Boy was on hiatus for a couple years, and then they came back with Save Rock and Roll a couple years later, which had the song My Songs Know What You Did in the Dark. But so my exposure to them was that, and I knew about Mania, I knew about Centuries and stuff like that, but my pure love of them was their earlier stuff, like their stuff on Under the Cork Tree, stuff on Four de Lis, I think it's how you say it.
Oh yeah, dude.
Sorry, Thank you. Sorry about that.
I got you.
Thank you. And also Infinity on High. Infinity on High is incredible. So when I first heard this single, the first single that came out from this record, I was like, oh my god, they're actually going back to a more guitar driven, rock driven sound. And I mean, you're right though. They did come out and they say that this album does not sound like that all the way through. There were other sounds on it, and I'm kind of in the same boat with Kyle here. Where I like the first couple listens I listened to, but the more I listened to it, it's like at first I was like, okay, this is what this is, and then I went back to it more and more, and I'm like, okay, this is what this is. My mindset changed a lot for it, truthfully. But yeah, I mean, I we'll get into our track listing and stuff like that in a second, but that's my going into this record. I was like, all right, I'm excited, and it delivered for me. But we're gonna see what Mike has to say about that. Mike, is there any hope for Fall Out Boy right now?
Well, I've had a strange, obviously, understanding of Fall Out Boy, just a interaction with them. I just kind of never been a huge fan of their music. With obviously the occasional hits that I've heard before. It's never really blown me away, and some of it's grown on me. Like Sugar We're Going Down Swinging, and other than that, I've always it's hard to explain, but I've never been a huge fan of vocalists who tend to overcompensate for the music not necessarily being on point. Like I feel I don't even know the lead vocalist's name.
Patrick Stump.
Patrick, yeah, right. Literally as I listen to song after song after song, his vocals tend to wear me out to a point where I begin to grow tired of the you remember back in like the early 2000s or even the late 90s where every vocalist had to like do all that kind of like I'm pointing
like
where
the old
I'm going
R&B vocalists.
Yes,
Yeah,
Christina
I hated that genre.
Aguilera.
Yep.
Yeah, Christina Aguilera, the Britney Spears, the these types of people.
Mariah Carey.
Mariah Carey, yeah. Yeah, like here I'm gonna show you how dynamic I am. In a lot of ways, this vocalist, like Patrick Stump, he just literally he has to like go all out and kind of like try to shoot for the stars, Stardust, but like he literally like goes just too much into kind of like these highs and lows, these dynamics to kind of pick up some kind of momentum. But it just in a lot of ways it starts off cool and then it just wears me out. So I've always had that kind of opinion of them, and coming into this album it really didn't change too much. But I appreciated the songs where the guitars were there. I wondered where they went on others, and we'll obviously get more into that. But I've never been a huge fan. He's a good vocalist. It's just this is what we like to call my personal opinion, and that's kind of like where I am at on this entire band in general. Is it's all about an opinion, because I've never listened to more than this album and a couple random songs. I think you gave me one of their albums before, right, Kyle?
Yeah, I had you listen to Foliada before.
Yeah, right. Whatever the hell word you just said. I'm not sure. But yeah, like I literally, that's it. That's my only impression. And I think I said the same thing when I reviewed that album. Is just like the vocals are just like, they're just somebody really trying to kind of pick up the slack where I feel like the music really falls short. And that's great if the vocals are catchy and get stuck in your head and you enjoy where they go. But when they don't do that and they're trying to, that's when it gets dicey. So yeah, we'll go more into the specifics here when we break down the album.
On that note, let's talk about So Much for Stardust. Let's see what they got here. So let's see. I just want to just skim through this really quick, because I mean it's funny because I was in shock. I mean, well, actually, let's go to the track listing first, and then I'm going to talk about a couple of the songs in particular. But so the track listing goes, and they're all written by all four members of the band. I applaud Fall Out Boy for doing that. No more on 5 or 50 billion writers later. It's like actually people can actually write music for once. So thank God for that. There was a couple of writers here and there, but other than that, they wrote all the music themselves, and that's great too. But the track listing goes as follows. For those who are listening, here we go. Love from the Other Side, Heartbreak Feels So Good, Hold Me Like a Grudge, Fake Out, Heaven, Iowa, So Good's Right Now, The Pink Seashell featuring Ethan Hawke, and Ethan Hawke also co-wrote that. I Am My Own Muse, Flu Game, Baby Annihilation, I'm gonna butcher this, the Kintsugi Kid, 10 Years. I probably butchered that for sorry everyone. What a Time to Be Alive, and the title track, So Much for Stardust. I would like to go first. That's okay.
Yeah,
Go for it.
Cool. All right. So for those of you who don't know what I do for a living, I work for a top 40 radio station, and that may sound like a crazy thing because all we do is talk about rock and roll around here. But full disclosure, I do. And when I tell you that when I heard Love from the Other Side on top 40 radio, like a hit radio station, like, they would play like the Ava Maxes or the Ed Sheerans and stuff like that. They play stuff like that. Or even like, I hate saying these people like Usher or Sean Paul or whatever, I'm not a fan of it whatsoever, but I'm surprised they were playing Love from the Other Side and Heartbreak Feels So Good on these stations that I work for and I know. So I'm saying to myself, this is kind of strange in a certain way, but because it's almost like it was like an awakening for me, at least. Oh my God, I'm hearing guitar-driven music on a top 40 radio. Mind you, none of this stuff charted the Hot 100, but at least it was cracking radio stations across the country, like the one that I work for. Not going to tell you what it is, but I was in shock about how Love from the Other Side and Heartbreak Feels So Good was being played on mainstream radio stations. They were playing like, oh, it's a new Fall Boy single. Because I feel like that was the mentality coming off of Mania to some extent. So playing those tracks made sense to me for that aspect. And I feel like it was a wake up call. I even asked my boss, said, hey, true story. I'm looking to get Fall Out Boy tickets this summer for when they hit the New York area for me and my friend. And he's like, your best bet is to tell your friend to call in when we give them away on a raffle. And so she did. She didn't get the tickets, unfortunately. But again, the whole thing, I was surprised that music like this, the guitar driven, the rock music was being played on top 40 stations. It was kind of a wake up for me, at least for me. But I have to say, my standout track for this is the whole thing. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm just kidding. I'm making a joke. Everyone had a rough day. But I would say the first 3 songs, I'm waiting to talk about this too. The first 3 songs are the first 3 singles that got released on the record too. That kind of shows you something about that as well. I mean, I'm sure Kyle will touch on that in a second as well. But for me, it's Love from the Other Side, Heartbreak Feels So Good, Hold Me Like a Grudge. And for whatever reason, the last 2, What a Time to Be Alive, and the title track, So Much for Stardust. I get it. Mike's already laughing at me. He's like, oh, he's the title track guy. I know.
Yeah.
I
wrote it down on paper just to confirm it
exactly.
myself. Yeah.
Oh my God. But yeah, those are my standout tracks. The first 3 and the last 2. I will say that I did enjoy. My honorable mentions, the other ones that I did enjoy a lot actually were, a couple in the middle. It was Heaven, Iowa, and there was for whatever reason, I Am My Own Muse stuck out to me as well. Maybe because it was just so like different throughout the record. There was different elements of strings, there's different elements of guitar, different types of styles of music. It was I really liked it a lot. But those are my standout tracks for me. Love from the Other Side, Heartbreak Feels So Good, Hold Me Like a Grudge. I'm gonna say Heaven, Iowa as well in there. Throw that in there. What a Time to Be Alive, and So Much for Stardust. Those are my standout tracks, but I'm very curious to see what Kyle has to say about this too. Kyle,
Yeah, I'll do my usual. I'm going to go track by track here.
Okay. Go ahead.
I'll start by saying I hate when the first 3 tracks of a record are the singles that are released first. I can't stand that. There's nothing I hate more than going into an album and being like, I already heard these songs. Get to the new stuff. That said, I try only now to listen to 2 songs ahead of time. So I only heard Love from the Other Side and Heartbreak Feels So Good beforehand. Love from the Other Side, I touched on it earlier, being the lead single, straight 10 out of 10 song. Best thing that they had done, honestly, since before Save Rock and Roll. Since before they went on hiatus, this was the best song they've released. It really had that it really packed that punch, had that classic sound, kind of had like a nostalgia trip, but also kind of built on it with the orchestra and things like that included. Really enjoyed that. 10 out of 10. Then we go to Heartbreak Feels So Good. And this is one of my least favorites on the record because it has promise. It really does. And honestly, it's somewhere on an 8, 2, and 9. If they didn't do that annoying post chorus, whoa thing over and over. It reminds me of Mania so much. Almost exactly. It reminds me of the song Champion that they did on the last album so much. And they really tried for that one to be a radio hit, and it kind of was. And I feel like they tried to capture that again, and it didn't work for me. Brought it all the way down to a 7. But I like a lot of lyrics on it. That's something to be said about the whole album as a whole. Is lyrically, it's probably their best work since maybe Save Rock and Roll, maybe on par, maybe even before that. But then we get to Hold Me Like a Grudge. I have a top 3 of the record. One being Love from the Other Side. Second is Hold Me Like a Grudge. This one, I love the bass on here. It's some of the best bass work I've heard on a Fall Out Boy song. I love just the vibe of this. It's great. I like that they're bringing like some disco and funk influence throughout the record. Really shines on this one. Patrick Stump kills it on vocals here. Straight 10 out of 10. Then we go to Fake Out. 9 out of 10. It's almost perfect song. There's some things I would change here and there. I love the chorus, but I feel like it can get kind of samey throughout the whole thing, but it's not overly long, so it doesn't really suffer from that much. And then we get to probably my biggest this is a controversial opinion apparently, because everyone seems to love this song. Heaven, Iowa it's a 6 out of 10 for me. This one just, it doesn't hit well. The beginning of the song is just boring to me, and I hate the chorus. The whole it's not Star-Crossed Lovers. Apparently it's Scar-Crossed Lovers, which I think is cringy as hell, first of all. But I think that this one, it just suffers from a chorus that it tries so hard to be like a hard-hitting chorus, and it doesn't work for me. The end of the song does save it a little bit, and I really like those like 80s sounding synth drums when it kicks into that like big chorus at the end. That's a cool part, but it really doesn't save it enough to push anywhere above a 6 for me. Then we get into So Good right now. This is where the album kind of starts to get interesting in a way. So Good right now, honestly, gives me vibes like musical vibes, like Grease, or even like a Disney musical. They did a cover, I guess it was years ago now, of I Want to Be Like You from the Jungle Book. And it sounds very similar to this. That's not a bad thing. This is a 9 out of 10 for me. I think it's very well done. It's catchy. Just some certain things here and there I would change. The Pink Seashell, it's cool. It's meaningful, I guess, but it's just an interlude. I don't hate it. I listen to it when it comes up in the album. It's literally just a sample from Reality Bites with Ethan Hawke. But then we go into I Am My Own Muse, which is probably the weakest. Here we start the weakest run on the album, but not weak as in like being really bad. This is just an 8 out of 10 for me. It's just repetitive. In the beginning, you're listening to it, and I'm like, this is a Trans-Siberian Orchestra, which is cool. I really like what they did on here. I like the orchestral vibe and the hard-hitting guitars that they got going on. But they repeat the chorus so often here that I'm like, all right, we get it. Smash all the guitars. Yeah. It just happens too much. 8 out of 10. Flu Game, kind of same thing. It's just a pretty generic track, but it's not bad. It's a good track. 8 out of 10. Baby Annihilation is the worst thing about this record. This is horrendous. I was fine with the Pink Seashell. I don't know why we needed 2 spoken word interludes. This one just being Pete Wentz, just reading emo poetry with some of the cringiest lines I've ever heard. Absolutely can't stand this. They've done this in the past, but they've tacked it onto other songs, being like the outro to a song, and had it only be like 20 to 30 seconds. I don't know why we needed a full minute of Pete Wentz just reading off the most emo lines imaginable. doesn't work for me, kind of takes me out of it. Kintsugi Kid, lyrically great. It's very like deep emotional song. I really like it. 9 out of 10. Then we get to my third of the big three of this record, What a Time to Be Alive. Incredible. Straight 10 out of 10. This one, I love when a song takes more dark, depressing lyric or dark subject matter and makes such a fun song out of it. This is such like a danceable like wedding song. Straight like disco old influence here. It's awesome. But then you listen to the lyrics and it's all about COVID and quarantine and things like that, which normally I would absolutely dock points for if the song wasn't so damn good, because they dated themselves so badly with the lyrics on this track to the point where you should never discuss years and very specific things going on in the lyrics of a song. It makes it so dated. It's like when rappers or whatever back in the day would mention like the Razor or whatever other smartphone was popular at the time. Not even smartphones, little flip phones. And that just dates things. Or when someone like mentions like MySpace in a song, it's like, yeah. This one though, it's not even relevant, timely right now. If they released it 2 years ago, I would understand. But they did a whole song about quarantine and COVID about 2 years after things started to get back to normal. So I have a problem with that. But otherwise, the song is so good, I can't even dock points for that. It's a straight 10 out of 10. And then we get to the biggest disappointment of the record. Sorry, JT. I know you love title tracks.
No,
but this thing, I'm sorry, this belongs on the shit pile that's Mania. This thing is the worst way to end an album because it's directionless. It tries to be like 3 or 4 different things in one track, and I hate all of it. The intro sounds just like late 90s era Eminem. It sounds like Eminem's about to start rapping Stan over that intro piano part. It sounds just like it came off the Marshall Mathers LP. And then you have this weird like boy bandy Justin Timberlake vocal for the verse. It drives me nuts. Doesn't fit. And then you have the chorus, which tries to be like this big like pop anthem chorus, but it really just doesn't hit, doesn't work. It's a terrible way to end the record. The only thing I like about it is that it brings back the lyrics to Love from the Other Side to kind of tie things together. But otherwise, most of the time I listen to this record, I stop at What a Time to Be Alive. That would have been a perfect closer, end it with a bang. But instead they did this. It's just a boring way to end it. I can't stand it. Easy 5 out of 10 on that one. It's like one that if it was in the background in a store or whatever, not going to turn it off, like not going to be like, ew, what's this? But in terms of the rest of the record, it's a very odd decision, very directionless. So yeah, I mean, for me, big three, Love from the Other Side, Hold Me Like a Grudge, and What a Time to Be Alive. Easily big three of this. Some of the best songs they've done in years.
like literal years.
Yeah.
It's been a long time. What Mania was, what, 2018, right?
Yeah.
God, it's been.
I think more time passed between Mania and this album coming out than did between when they went on hiatus initially and came back with Save Rock and Roll.
I think you're right. Actually, I think there was a 4-year hiatus in the beginning. That was a 5-year hiatus between albums.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Before we go to Mike, I just want to say something really quick about Heartbreak Feels So Good for a sec. I just want to say something really quick. So I go to this might sound really crazy, but just hear me out for a sec. I go to the movies occasionally. I go to the movies a lot, like actually to the movie theater. And sometimes I go to an AMC theater. And one of the things that they have after the trailers play, like it's an AMC commercial before the movie starts. Right, hear me out for a sec. When that trailer starts, Nicole Kidman in the trailer, in the commercial, is saying "Heartbreak Feels So Good," and I guarantee you that's where they got it from. I guarantee you that's where they got this song title from. How do I know that? I follow movie news and stuff like that. this one of my favorite YouTubers was like complaining about like how could you show a commercial after 30 minutes of trailers, whatever, right? But I wanted to shed some light on that for a sec. That I guarantee you, I made that connection. I was like, wow, Nicole Kidman and Heartbreak Feels So Good by Fall Out Boy, some have some sort of connection. Small world we live in. Just wanted to shed some light. Just wanted to bring that up for a sec. Because if you go to an AMC theater, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah. But Mike, you love
yo. No.
It's your favorite thing in the
like,
world.
favorite thing in the world, so going back to like what I was saying, I've just never really enjoyed the vocals and the music, feeling just kind of never really grasping the true definition of what they're trying to bring. So first off, I gotta speak about this album cover. This album cover is absolutely trash. Here it is. I go back and look at all of the iconic bands that released these amazing album covers with great art on them, and like, it looks good and it's drawn by an artist, or it's like done in a way where it doesn't look like just shoddy thrown together. Like, here's a picture in the middle, here's this on the top, here's the bottom, and like cut print. It just looks so thrown together. It just looks so, like lacking of the true kind of like, I feel it almost a way it's a statement to like the world that like, who cares what's on the cover, really? Like, I can put whatever and put whatever effort into it, and there really is I'm not making any money off this. It's not really gaining me anything. So and I get that vibe from here. It's just kind of thrown together. Looks very like photoshopped by a drunk kid in like his grade school projects. Yeah. So now that we've got that out of the way, yeah, the vocal's not a bad vocal. It's just, he's got actually a pretty good voice, but he does a lot of the heavy lifting in this album, almost to a fault, almost to a point where the music isn't holding up its end of the bargain. He's the main voice, the main instrument, and when that happens, the amount of heavy lifting he has to do just kind of really wears you out and just kind of hits you with a lot of he's pulling a lot of that weight, and in a lot of ways I just keep getting vibes of like The Weeknd, Adam Levine, and like some of the remnants of Fall Out Boy have all kind of like come together in this album and had a baby, and this is what created, like, it just feels like I just keep getting, when he does his highs, it reminds me so much of Adam Levine. It just really does, and it's just like not in a good way. So to start that off, we'll go track by track. Love from the Other Side, absolute home run. This song is the vocals are like, and it's not even just his vocal stylings, it's just where the vocals go that is really catchy and really lives in your ear, and it just like it travels, it changes, it presents interesting melodies, the guitar underneath the layers of sound. I mean, this song is amazing. If his vocals weren't as just kind of just not the greatest thing that I want to hear from a vocalist, I would really say this is a 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10. This song needs a damn solo. Seriously. I was like waiting for a solo to kick in some of these, and I'm like, it doesn't have it. And I was just like, damn, man. Like, that's all you guys really needed, was to like regain the idea that you're a rock band, pop rock band, like punk rock, whatever, pop rock, whatever you want to call them, pop punk, yeah, like it could have totally grasped that, but in a lot of ways it was just kind of I love the momentum changes. Yeah, absolutely a great song. Heartbreak Feels So Good. This song kind of grew on me. Hate the yeah, like I agree with that. It's just like reminds me of a commercial about, like, I don't know, like insurance. Like, we're going back to that comment again, like where someone's playing a damn ukulele, like, and it's like and you hear like the ukulele in the background, and it's like so happy sounding, and it just makes you want to freaking puke. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, but like I hate happy sounding music when it lacks other dynamics to it, when it's just one big happy song, which Kyle's gonna be very upset with me come 10 songs down. But we won't continue with that. We're just gonna stay focused on what we're doing right now. Yeah, so not a bad song. Just the lyrics, I actually like the lyrics. I mean the vocals, and what they present, and so that one is for 7.5 out of 10, which like I said, not a bad song, but not entering a great category, not entering an amazing category. Just like I would listen to it again and not change the song. Would I put it on my phone, or would I put it in my library? No. But I wouldn't turn it. The vocals keep me interested. The song's momentum and its pacing keep me interested. It's just, yeah. So then we go on to Hold Me Like a Grudge. Got good groove. The chorus isn't great. Really kind of zaps the energy with that chorus not being great. Once again, it reminds me of Adam Levine. Feel like he's trying to channel Michael Jackson in this in a bad way. Like I don't like this in the background, all this kind of and it's like, whoa, relax, dude, relax. I know you're trying to be the best vocalist on the planet, but like, please don't channel Michael Jackson. It's not necessary. It just feels out of place from the other songs. Poppy, radio friendly. I hate when they have clapping in songs. I really do. If the song's gonna have clapping in it, like, it's got to be a good song, and this song is just, it's just basic. It's not something I really enjoy. This one was a 6 out of 10. So we're moving on to Fake Out. I like the pace of this song, the tempo. Guitars feel drowned out, almost unhearable guitars, and that's something that happens in this album. Is my main gripe with this album is like, you punch him in the face with Love from the Other Side, and then like you kind of the energy of the guitars and the rock of this gets lost with like some of these kind of like you were saying, it's not going to be what we used to be. It's going to have some other change ups and variations in it. Those variations, while they are different, zap the energy of the rock and the kind of that direction. So yeah, so that was how I felt. Then Heaven, Iowa starts kind of boring. Feels like The Weekend. Like I said, it feels like that kind of type of song. Less like The Weekend and more like a weekday Monday. But when the guitar hits is when I'm like, yeah, like, sweet. Like, it actually redeems the song. The chorus is kind of one-dimensional. Like, he repeats that a couple times and almost to like he's trying to use it a little too much. Not a terrible song, but once again, it's just kind of like doesn't do anything for me. So that one's 6.5. It almost kind of flew up into that. And then yeah, So Good Right Now. I don't know if you've ever heard of Frankie Lyman, whoa, whoa,
Yep.
whoa. They're literally ripping off that that sound. And it just like, and this song is like, it's just happy where it wants you to make it, just so happy it makes you want to barf. Feeling so good right now. It's like, no, I'm not feeling good, and I just like I don't want you to try and make me feel good. Okay, like, yeah. So like that was just, yeah. Once again, it flows into that realm of just happy, so happy it makes you mad. And so that was a 5 out of 10. It just did not like that song. And then I Am what is it? The Pink Seashell. Yeah, once again, it's just a movie line, not rated. Then you go on to I Am My Own Muse. That's this. It just relies heavily on the orchestration, lead vocals, but just really comes off lacking and dramatic and not in a good way. Flu Game. The vocals are trying to do that heavy lifting. They just aren't doing it. Once again, that no, that like the irritating repeating over again, like it literally sounds like the Nightmare Before Christmas, with the like it's just, oh my god, It definitely, I almost called it Squid Game because it made me want to, like, you know, kill myself or something. I don't know, but trigger warning. Sorry guys, trigger warning.
We are not
no,
sponsored by any. I'm just kidding.
yeah, we get into this point. I am
Sponsored
my
by
own
BetterHelp.
muse. Yeah, better help. Seek help if you need it. This is a weak part of this. It starts off pretty strong. Like the first three songs, while not in love with them, are far better than a 5, 6, and 7, or 5, 6, and 8, whatever. This part, and then the Kintsugi, I don't know, kid, underwhelming chorus, catchy, the catchiness of the chorus, is, and it's not very great. Music doesn't really do much for me. This song, once again, it's just, very mid. What a time to be alive. So freaking happy. And also, if you literally listen to Earth, Wind, and Fire September,
Yeah, it's
Oh
the
my
same
this
God.
thing.
song, it literally has the same, like where the breaks come in the song fit almost identically with this song, which me off. But I see what Kyle's saying. It's definitely trying to kind of revive that disco and like funk feel, but it almost just like it just does it and so intentionally where you begin to feel like the artist is like almost doing it so intentionally that they didn't really use their own idea of what they wanted to do. It just kind of like uh lined it up and then just did their own. Obviously the melody's different and stuff like that, but I hated the lyrics, even though I get what Kyle's saying about this and that and the other thing, but just wasn't for me. And then Starcross, so much for Stardust was too much going on. I agree with Kyle. Instrumentally, without, doesn't feel cohesive. Chorus isn't great. It's just all over the place, like exactly what Kyle is saying. It's just like here, there, now it's this, now it's that. Got all these kind of like things going on, vibes that he's trying to get, and it just comes off confused and almost like the end of the album, and he's trying to kind of like touch on all kinds of different things that he was going for, do the whole album and do a medley of them, and it just feels like an absolute disaster. So it definitely, it's up and down. It's got it's not terrible music, but it's also just underwhelming and just inconsistent, I would say, is its biggest fault. Inconsistent with what the general sound they're going for. Yeah. So
You know what I
That's
think
all I
would have
gotta
been
say.
interesting to do with that last track, So Much for Stardust? You mentioned like trying to do like a medley of what happened and like the sounds of the album. I think it would be more interesting if they actually took the tracks from the album and made a medley out of it, a different sounding, more like grand finale medley of, different parts of different songs. They already took the lyric from Love from the Other Side on there and brought that back. I think it would have been a really cool idea to take that further, take aspects of the other songs and throw them in there instead of trying to get all these different, because a lot of these sounds that they use on that track weren't even present on the album itself. Like that intro is just so odd. It really throws my ears off. And
I agree.
You guys got anything else to say really quick or no?
But I did give it a 7 out of 10. Which is surprising.
Wow.
I know I did like some of the kind of the musical interludes, which are, I'll be honest with you, if it's strange, I generally enjoy it because it doesn't belong, and I like that. And I think that's my overall main thing I want to like wave the flag of, is like where people feel like something is strange and is almost out of place. I tend to find those moments refreshing. Now, obviously, there are things that are out of place and they're bad out of place and they're not even good on their own. They're just out of place in general, which obviously I think are bad. But like, I like when there's strange things in music that kind of hit your ears a little bit. I can actually enjoy some of that kind of stuff. So while this song is a lot going on and just kind of whatever, there are moments when I thought it had some cool musical interludes that would that took it to a certain direction that I actually enjoyed. And while vocally it was all over the place, I enjoyed the music parts for what they were. So yeah, that's all I had to say. Sorry.
You're good. No, you're good. I was gonna say something really quick. I just want to touch on just a couple things. One thing that Mike said, one thing that Kyle said. So it's funny. I just checked on my phone really quick. The actual run, because you said "What a Time to Be Alive" sounds like September by Earth, Wind and Fire. September by Earth, Wind and Fire is 3 minutes and 40 seconds as well.
Oh, controversy.
Controversy.
Take to the internet. I want everybody to flood their page with just questions about why this is and how you can almost line up every break when the song kind of hits a certain note and changes. You can hear it within the song. I want to have answers, and I feel court cases coming on. Lawyer up.
If there's no court involved, I'll be surprised because it's like this practically the same length, and I didn't see your comparison until now. But I was gonna say it's funny, and I was gonna just to Kyle's point really quick about the style of the title track. How like I wish they did like a medley. When you said that, the first thing that popped into my head was "What a Catch, Donnie."
Yep.
That's the first thing. If I'm the last, was that the last song on that record, right?
No, it was like halfway through.
Oh, okay. But like that's what I thought of. For those who don't know, "What a Catch, Donnie" from Fall Out Boy's album. What is it called again?
Foliada.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you. Good.
That's such a dad joke. I can't. It's such a dad joke.
But no, what I was gonna say though is that I wish I as much as I love the title track, which I the more I think about it, I like it a lot. I wouldn't say I love it, but I like it enough because it's a title track, I guess. But I really wish they did something like that. Like for those you know what I'm talking. For those you know what we're talking about, "What a Catch, Donnie" was this like a medley of all their songs up until that point on that part of the album. Imagine when that was a missed opportunity on their part. If only they took care of that, that would have been something. If they did, like the ending of this album's like a medley of like you guys said, like a bunch of their songs from like this album and maybe Mania, maybe American Beauty, American Psycho. I don't know, just a food for thought. I mean,
which is kind of interesting because in that Cornelius album that I love, Phantasma, they actually do that in their final song too, but they do it in a way like someone's changing the radio and you hear parts of the song play. Like there's a beginning, then there's a medley in the middle of the song, like where you someone's changing a radio and you hear different parts of different songs about the album, and then the end is what the beginning was, but kind of with some added stuff from the album in it. So it was actually kind of cool because it's like it kind of like does everything you want. It starts off with a new song, hits you with a little bit of a medley in the middle, and then it ends with like kind of some other stuff alongside the beginning of the last song.
So that's kind of what that Fall Out Boy song, "What a Catch, Donnie" does. They have the medley in the middle where it's all there. It's a medley of like their hit songs up until that time, sung by all sung by different vocalists from other bands, like big bands at the time on the same label. So like the singer of Cobra Starship does Grand Theft Autumn. The singer of Gym Class Heroes does "Sugar We're Going Down." Brendan Urie does "Dance Dance." Some other people are in there doing other things. Then Elvis Costello sings the hook of the song again when it comes back in. Super cool. But yeah, we'll love something like that again to end this out, really bring it together instead of just trying to mash a bunch of different non-cohesive genres together.
Interesting.
I just want to point out the critical reception for this for a second, because I did notice. I want to say it currently is holding an 80 out of 100, which indicates universal acclaim. Do we have any take on that at all? Do I want me to read the reviews at all? You guys are good.
No, I'm good. I think everyone's pretty much critically on the same page, except Fantano, who
and Mike Cornell
and Mike. But I gotta say, Fantano's review was pretty. His was ridiculous. When I was listening to his actual criticisms, I was like, all right, he's probably gonna give it like a 5 or a 6. Man went all the way down to a 3, and I was like, what he said doesn't really align to a 3, but whatever. Still love him. Great reviewer.
It might be personal. It might be a personal score. Like you might have something personal with them.
And for me personally, I don't really pay attention to the critic reviews. I mean, whether I'm one of them, I'm the opinion where if you love it, you love it. If you like it, you like it. If you hate it, you hate it. Like it's whatever you feel about it. Like to me, it's like we'll get to our ratings in one sec, but I really, really like this record a lot. And I wouldn't say like I'm not going to tell you my rating, but I would say I liked it the first time I heard it. And then I went back and listened to it more and more and more, and it kind of a lot of the stuff grew on me more and more. A lot of the tracks more, there's a couple more here and there, a couple others, some others more than others, but yeah, I mean, to me it grew on me a lot. So, but yeah, that's just that. Anything else before we go to our rating?
Nope.
No. All righty, here we go. So we start off with Kyle. We're gonna kick back to Kyle. Kyle, what is your rating for Fall Out Boy's So Much for Stardust?
So if you asked me the same question about a week or so ago, it would have been a very different answer. But as I had more time to sit with it, and as my expectations were kind of put more in line for what it was supposed to be, it's gone up. It was one of those things where I had an expectation from Love from the Other Side, and then it really just took a turn after that. I was expecting a whole album of tracks like that. That's not what we got. Not to say I don't like the songs. I think most of them are very good, very well written. And one thing I haven't mentioned that none of us have mentioned, actually, I'm kind of surprised, is the drums on this record are a huge high point. I think it's some of the best drums that Andy has done on any Fall Out Boy record. The production sound of the drums is phenomenal. The guitar, when they do have lead guitar parts, really shines through. Again, Mike, I completely agree with you when you're talking about Fake Out. I feel like this album was a fake out in a way of making me expect these big guitars. And in some tracks, they are there. But again, it's kind of like they didn't want to fully commit to it and still wanted to maintain some of that pop influence from the last like 2 or so records. I wish there was more of that. Songwriting wise, I think it was solid. It was there lyrically. It was great. All those things put together. We don't need the 2 spoken word interludes. One would have been fine. I didn't mind the Ethan Hawke interlude. Thought that was well done. I thought it was a meaningful addition, and I thought thematically it fit in there. I didn't need Pete Wentz just going off for a full minute on whatever nonsense entered his mind on a piece of paper that day. With that said, there's a couple missteps here and there. It has some of my favorite tracks of the year on here. Is it my favorite album of the year so far? No, because it's just not as consistent as I would like. But it has some excellent songs. Where does it fall in the Fall Out Boy category? In their discography, I guess we'll have to wait and see. For me right now, it's kind of at an 8.25. I enjoy it a lot. It definitely could have been higher. Does it hold up to their albums like From Under the Cork Tree, Infinity on High, Folie à Deux? Probably not. It's not as good as those. Is it better than their recent pop efforts like American Beauty, American Psycho, and Mania? Absolutely. It's probably hanging out somewhere there with Save Rock and Roll, where they're both great albums, just not up to that early like pre-hiatus Fall Out Boy style. So 8.25.
All right, Mike, do you mind if I go?
Yeah, go for it, man. Nail it.
All right, cool. Just wanted to ask first.
You got this, man. I believe in you.
Do you? Are you sure? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, 100%.
So, all right. So after listening to it a couple of times over more and more, I did listen to it the day it came out. I did listen to it. I did a review of it on our YouTube channel. You can check it out too. Boo!
You reviewed
Shame.
it before we reviewed it. Boo!
But I didn't give too much away in there. I will say that. I try to keep it as spoiler free as possible. But now that we just broke it down, we just talked about it again. I'm sitting at about an 8 out of 10. Truthfully, just not quite as high as Kyle, but just a little bit under. I mean, there were some high points. There were some missteps. I will admit that. I mean, it was. I agree with both of you guys. It was not as consistent as I thought it would be. Hearing that first single though made me have a lot of promise that wow, Fall Out Boy is taking a break from the pop and going back to the rock, which I like a lot. I'm glad that they're doing that in general. I hope I can see them on tour at some point soon, which would be great. Because I know that cost they were all right, but I mean I haven't seen them, so I can't judge them. I guess you could say, But yeah, I'm saying about an 8 out of 10. This is if you're looking for something that's just an all around change from the wind of just your average ordinary pop music, like if you're looking to escape Ed Sheeran or escape top 40 radio, which I work for a top 40 radio station. But if you're looking to escape that, I do
which one is it? No, I'm just kidding.
wait, what? It's clearly Z100. No, I'm just kidding. But if you're looking to escape the world of like pop music, step into Fall Out Boy so much for Stardust. You might be surprised at which direction they went in, but I think this is I do agree with Kyle though. This is definitely a step in the direction of like where Save Rock and Roll came out, and they had like it was that kind of like style for the time being, and then they went in the more pop direction after that. But I think this is a good entry to where they want to go for their tour and where they want to go as a band moving forward. So I'm sitting about an 8 out of 10. Mike, this is your 10 out of 10 for the year. I know it.
I hate to be the villain. I hate,
Mike, make sure you don't take that album cover into consideration.
Oh, most definitely. That was the dock of points on it. That once again the album cover starts off this with kind of shows that they're confused. I'm not sure if that's Stardust or cocaine that they were doing when they designed this album. I really honestly that's up in the air. It's in the Stardust. Stardust, yeah, dust, all right, like angel dust, maybe, or I don't know, whatever they were doing. But this album's kind of a mess. It's kind of all over the place. It's a little too, it's theatrical, but to a fault, and it's rock, but with like rock where it's missing that finishing touch. Like it's inconsistent. Love from the Other Side, an absolute banger. Yeah, I might even hit a 10 on that through multiple listens. Because I've like listened to it a couple times, and like at no point do the vocals ever feel redundant. Even when they repeat again, you want to hear it again. You know what I mean? You never go like, oh, it's repeating again. I kind of want to hear something different. No, you enjoy everything they're bringing in that song, and I feel like it lies alone. Like Heartbreak Feels So Good kind of felt like it could contend, and it did an okay job in the vocal area, but then it just kind of and like once again, yeah, it's an up and down roller coaster, lots of dips, not a lot of peaks. It felt confused, like an identity. Oh, look, we're trying to sound like North Wind and Fire. Oh, we're trying to kind of give off a swing kind of with the drums kind of get a little too like we're trying to do like the swing kind of feel to the music, or we're trying to do this, we're trying to do that, we're trying to sound like many different sounds, but within that you lose an identity of like what truly this band is trying to sound like. And in a lot of ways, it feels like, hey, we're back and we're trying to kind of find ourselves again. And those are the kind of albums I just like a lot, because I feel it's listening to someone's thoughts in their head without any kind of true kind of what the destination is. So this was a 6 out of 10 for me. I almost gave it a 5 out of 10. But then as I began to listen to it for the music alone, not in like, hey, will I keep this music? Will I continue to listen to this music? But just for listening to music alone, it does present a lot of different sounds, orchestra, some punk, some rock, some this, some that. It kind of gives everybody what they want, but just never really tying the bow. It's just like so you can get enjoyment out of it, and the momentum and the pacing and the liveliness, and like Kyle was saying, the instrumentation on some of these is well done, while not really being a full emphasis of what it needs to be. It does a lot of things, just not well. 6 out of 10. It definitely feel there might be some tracks that might grow a little bit, but for the most part, when I hear music and I know I'm not the biggest fan of it, I generally know it 100%. It's when I am unsure of a track is when there's much more room to grow. I just can't, I'm just unable to fully make a statement on it. But not the worst thing, not a 3. That's damn near just going off the deep end. Love you, Fantano. Yeah, peace and love to that. But 6 is it's just it's decent music. Not terrible.
So you can look for our crossover next week with Anthony Fantano and how Mike and him are going to rip apart. I'm just kidding, everyone. We're not actually going to do it. We're not actually crossing over. Fantano, we know you. You're great. You're awesome. But your rating was wrong on this one. Just saying. But yeah. Well, that's gonna do it for us, guys. Thanks so much for watching, listening, however you enjoyed us tonight. Before I forget, this guy down here has a podcast called Q&A. If you haven't already, follow his podcast Q&A. Phenomenal job, phenomenal voice. He works his ass off every day at his job, and he comes home and he does that. Proud
And
of you.
most improved beard daily. Like and most improved. Like
Hell yeah, we're gonna see how far it can go.
Yes, that's
We're
it.
gonna, like,
Wolfman by
beard.
Wolfman by summer.
We're gonna grow out the hair, the beard. We're just gonna see what happens. Full caveman here.
Yes, full on caveman with Kyle the Q&A. I want to thank the two gentlemen for doing this as always with me. Kyle and Mike, you guys are incredible. I mean, this is we've been going out for 6 episodes of Career Retrospectives so far, by the way, just letting you know. We're getting the countdown to 100 is still going.
Woo!
So it's come a long way, but yeah, we're coming a long way with that. But yeah, we want to thank you all for watching, listening, however you enjoyed us tonight. And for all of us here at the Super Review Show, don't forget to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. We're back on Twitter, and follow us on our Instagram page as well, simply at the Super Review Show. You look at I'm in control of it. I post all the stuff there. So yeah. But for all of you out there